the thing you're seeing in the title is not the only good thing that happened today. Many positive stuff happened in the 41st episode of Boruto. I have one issue with this episode, which I will talk about later on in this video, because I want to cover the positive stuff, because this episode was very enjoyable and I really liked it. Without further ado, let's get into the review. So first of all, I want to say a couple of words about this mini arc in general. So obviously, I read the spoilers a couple of weeks ago, and I knew that this was going to be a 2-episode arc. I even talked about this in my Boruto episode 41 preview. So overall, for these 2 episodes, I think they did a great job. Again, I have one problem, which I will talk about after I cover all the positive things. The thing I liked about this arc is that it had very similar concepts to like concepts that Naruto had when as Naruto as a series had when they went to their first mission, like the original Team 7. Yeah, I mean, I know that quite a few people hated that fact, which is okay. I always say that I like it because of nostalgia. But one thing's for sure, it's not lazy writing. When people say that, I really feel like that argument is very stupid, because Boruto is a new series. They can do anything they want, and it's not like idiots are writing the series, right? They have many ideas, and they're using these concepts on purpose in order to remind us of early Naruto greatness. And this second episode of this arc, which was today's episode, was very unique. And it met my expectations, which I talked about in my episode preview. So first of all, obviously at the start of the episode, Konohamaru talks with the villagers. They really show how they all like Lady Kiri, and they talked about her father, I think, for a bit. And what I found really interesting is Boruto's reaction when he realized that, yeah, Kiri didn't say the truth to anybody. She was hiding it. She wanted to do everything by herself. And at one point in this episode, I can't remember when exactly, but he was like, it's okay, like she wanted to do everything by herself. But he felt a bit embarrassed, I'd say, because he realizes that he sometimes makes these same mistakes, and that's why Sarada gets pissed off at him many times. And I really felt like that was very interesting. Obviously, we're getting closer to the Chunin exams being reanimated. I mean animated again, just in the anime, not in the movie. And we all know Naruto's and Boruto's relationship at that point, so I can't wait for the stuff that's about to happen between Naruto and Boruto. Obviously, some negative stuff will happen, but it's all in order for Boruto to get some great character development, which will make him even greater as a main character. Because I honestly feel like he's a very good protagonist of the series. Anyway, Konohamaru and the rest of Team 7 decided that, well, Konohamaru for the most part, because he's the sensei, decided that they're gonna, rescue Kiri. And, he, even in the last episode, he mentioned how teamwork is very important, which I will talk about later in this episode. Anyway, first of all, we get the scene with that old guy. I forgot his name. Anyway, I guess he was killed in this episode. He kidnapped Kiri. We found out that he poisoned Kiri's father, and he got stabbed. And in the last episode, somebody also got stabbed. So I'm really enjoying these dark things, especially because recently, literally about a week ago, I finished reading Tokyo Ghoul and Tokyo Ghoul Re, which is very dark. And I'm kind of used to seeing these dark things, and seeing it in Boruto right now feels really good. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. Anyway, as this man was stabbed, basically these bandits were standing there, and at that point I was very hyped for their characters. I thought that they might get relevant more in the future or something like that. I thought they had some deep motives, which is the problem I had with this episode, but I'm gonna talk about that later, as I promised. Anyway, Konohamaru gives them the deed for the bridge, which they desperately wanted to take, and basically they give him Kiri. But this detail was very cool. They left a paper bomb Like I forgot their names about like those two villains. I forgot their names. Like they're pretty much irrelevant right now, so that doesn't really matter. But one of them left a paper bomb on that man, and that was very smart. You know, it's always good seeing these smart strategies. You know, it really feels it's like it's ninja-like. If you get what I mean, it really reminds me of Part 1 Naruto a lot. And you know, Konohamaru starts fighting against this guy. At one point, this guy does something. I think it was some type of sealing jutsu. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it was. If I'm wrong, please correct me. And he seemed very strong. Now, I had mixed feelings. First of all, I was like, okay, it's either that this guy, the villain, is super strong, or Konohamaru is weak. But obviously, he was holding back a little bit. And anyway, Boruto and the rest of Team 7 escaped with Kiri. And now that I've mentioned Boruto, Mitsuki, and Sarada, I really like their interactions throughout this episode. Yeah, I'm loving the interactions and the dialogue of the new Team 7. Anyway, they escaped, and the other guy was gonna go for them, right? Now, there was this part of the episode where Sarada talked with Boruto, and I know that in the last episode, the last two episodes, many people complain about Sarada's character, which is complete BS. She's just realistic all the time. She's very direct as a character, which I really like. Like even in the real world, I appreciate honest people, and she always says what she thinks and she spits facts. Anyway, she told them that they should fight. They would be at advantage here. Mitsuki set some traps before that guy came. And even in this episode, not only in the last episode, but Mitsuki agrees with Sarada all the time, and they make these gag moments, like I'm talking about the Studio Pierrot. They make these gag moments, how, you know, every time Boruto and Sarada and Mitsuki are quote-unquote against Boruto. I really find these moments awesome. These are some of my favorite moments. And anyway, the dead bandit comes. He's about to fight against Boruto, Sarada, and Mitsuki. But now we're back at the Konohamaru scene. And oh my god. If you follow my channel regularly and my Boruto discussions, reviews, you know that the thing I appreciate the most about Boruto is its character interactions. And I think I'm gonna start calling it dialogue from now on, because it's first of all, it's one word. It sounds better, and more people will understand. Some people sometimes don't understand what I mean by character interactions, so I'm just gonna say dialogue. As I said, the thing I appreciate the most about Boruto is its complex dialogue, with a lot of meaning and the symbolic things that they use. Obviously, I like action, but action is not the main thing that I look for in Boruto and in other series, anime/manga series in general. But it always feels good to get such a badass moment, like the moment we got when Konohamaru was pissed for the fact that the bandit was underestimating ninjas from Konoha. I can't remember the exact line that Konohamaru used, but he was like, you know, he was really pissed for the fact that this guy underestimated him, as I said. And when he pulled off that Rasengan, oh my god, that was so badass. Like I'm not 100% sure. I think it's wind style Rasengan, like a Rasengan that has wind style to it. We know that Naruto adds wind style to the Rasengan. He forms the Rasen Shuriken. We know because of Boruto movie that Boruto also adds wind release, and he creates the vanishing Rasengan. So I don't know what the name of this Rasengan is going to be. Why do I think that it's wind style Rasengan? Because first of all, the bandit said like, you broke my jutsu with wind style. And there was like wind, and it's not a typical Rasengan. Like, I almost want to say it was the wind style Rasengan 100%, but trust me, I'm a YouTuber. Sometimes I thought that some things were facts and I made mistakes. And just in case, I'm just gonna say, if I'm wrong, correct me, but I think this was wind style Rasengan, and it was so fucking powerful. And it makes me think, because throughout this episode, because when Konohamaru was captured, right, under the sealing jutsu, I thought that he might pull out a Sage mode. Now, a lot of people have been speculating that he has the Sage mode because he can summon toads, which we saw earlier in Boruto. I think we saw it in the first 10 episodes, one of the first 10 episodes, I'm not really sure. And anyway, a lot of people speculated that he has the Sage mode. You know, he's a Sarutobi, he's talented, he has, you know, pretty much similar abilities that Naruto has, And I was like, okay, if he has the Sage Mode, he's gonna do it now. Because at that time I thought that the villain was super strong, but it turned out that he was just a lame ass villain. Anyway, this Rasengan, it almost felt like he fired it. Because everything behind it, like there was some huge mountain or rock, whatever. Well, not a mountain, but you get the point. You saw the episode. Everything was destroyed, and it was so cool how he didn't want it to kill the guy. He just did it next to him, and then the guy just fainted. Like, you know, it was just so fucking good. And I said it in my last review. I'm starting to like Konohamaru more and more in each episode of Boruto, Naruto, Next Generations. Anyway, another highlight of the episode was the teamwork against the other bandit with the swords. So, you know, obviously, Boruto and Mitsuki using wind style to push Sarada. And before that, they started attacking him a couple of times. And Sarada was analyzing everything with her Sharingan. And I really like this moment for Sarada, because a couple of episodes ago, when Boruto and Sarada fought Mirai, she was really unconfident. You know, yeah, as I said, she lacked confidence and she couldn't use her Sharingan properly, and she basically did nothing with it. But now she was more confident, and she, you know, analyzed everything, and she said that they basically need to attack him, because this guy, he takes the punch. Now, literally, he didn't get hurt, but you get the point. He takes the hit, and then he hits back. He doesn't move a lot, so we need to attack him directly. And then at one point, Boruto was like, I don't have the eyes to dodge his attack or something like that. Mitsuki was like, I don't have the ability to use wind styles so freely like you, Boruto. And Sarada was like, I don't have the speed to attack him. And then they all combined their powers. And the moment where Sarada was going straight, I just knew that we were going to get one of those typical Sharingan scenes where we see everything in slow motion, and then the Sharingan user quickly moves in the last moment. And even though I knew that was going to happen, I fucking enjoyed that scene. I even tweeted that moment straight away, because I really, Sarada is one of my favorite characters. In fact, she's my second favorite Next Generation character, not including Naruto and the old cast. And I just had to tweet that moment, because I really enjoyed it, and she basically demolished that guy. At the end of the episode, everything finished very, you know, very positively with Kiri. You know, she's good with everybody in the village. Everyone accepts her. Everyone likes her. They basically love her, because they even say that they think that she will become a better leader than her dad. And now that I've mentioned her dad, I really like the little flashback that they've showed in this episode. It just makes you bond with the character even more. And overall, everything gets a bit more emotional. Anyway, again, Boruto had some inner thoughts throughout this episode when interacting with Kiri. At one point, Sarada and Mitsuki basically said, I mean, Sarada said, you thought about your father and yourself for a moment, and then he was like, I didn't, and then Mitsuki agreed with Sarada. That connects to my point that I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, that, you know, they are introducing these gag moments. There was this moment that I also really enjoyed. It was when Boruto told Kiri, I'm gonna show you our teamwork, something like that. And then Mitsuki and Sarada at the same time said, we are going to show you our teamwork, you narcissistic prick. They didn't say that, but you get the drill. I just really fucking love that moment. Also, I really like the moment when Sarada was treating Boruto's wounds. You guys know that I share Boruto. I'm gonna talk about it later on in the video because of one thing that Mitsuki said. But I just feel something, like some chemistry between them, which I think could, you know, turn into sexual tension in the future of the series, which is why I think they're gonna end up together. And overall, this moment was also very funny, yeah, let's get back into the video. And speaking of Mitsuki agreeing with Sarada, at one point he said something along the lines of, you have a lot of work to do with Himawari. I mean, like, I can't remember the exact line, but he mentioned something like, you've got a lot of work with the Himawari and Sarada in the future. And we all know, I mean, some of you may, I don't know if you guys forgot this, but many episodes ago, I think it was episode 20-something, Boruto and Sarada had like a mini fight at the end of the episode, and Mitsuki was like, I still think they make a good couple, which he said earlier in that episode, I think. So he basically, quote-unquote, ships them. And what he was referring to is, obviously, every man that had okay, Boruto's mother is Hinata. Your moms usually take care of sons, so you don't need to take care of your mom, right? Two other female persons that you need to take care of are your sister and your girlfriend, right? So I really like that moment. It really still shows that Mitsuki, in his mind, thinks that they might end up together, because obviously, why would he say Himawari and Sarada? Himawari, obviously because Himawari is Boruto's sister, and obviously Sarada because she could potentially end up with Boruto eventually. And we are yet to get into the whole blushing scene thing that happens during the Momoshiki arc and some of the interactions that happen later. And I'm really hyped for that. You guys know that I ship Boru-Sara because I think there's a lot of chemistry between them. But going back to this episode, everything ended very happily, and I think it's time to tell you the problem that I had with this episode and with Boruto in general. Now, when I did my Boruto episode 41 preview, I already said this. I said that I don't have any expectations for the villains because I knew that it was going to be a 2-episode arc, and overall, so far in the first 41 episodes, we haven't had a great villain. And it just continued. I mean, it doesn't say anywhere, okay? It doesn't say in the rule book that you have to have a great villain for a good story. Boruto is fucking great in my opinion. The only negative about Boruto that I can say, which doesn't make it a 10 out of 10 for me, would be the lack of good villains. In my preview, a lot of people told me, the villains are going to be great in the Momoshiki arc. You know, they're going to expand their motives, most likely. The car organization looks to be awesome. They're most likely going to have great motives. I agree with you. But that doesn't change the fact that we're 41 episodes in, and we're yet to get a great villain. Or a great threat. And by great, I don't mean like somebody super strong. I'm talking of when I say a good villain, I mean like a great character that's a threat. That's what I'm trying to say. And in this episode, they were hyping up these two bandits. You know, they looked strong, and you know, the guy with the long hair just fainted after the Rasengan, and it's just like, what the fuck? And we didn't even get to see what happened with them. I'm assuming they're in some jail or something. I don't think Konohamaru let them go, because they would probably just attack again or something like that. So that's another, like, so two problems. First problem, villains in Boruto are terrible. This continues in this episode. And we didn't even see what happened with those two guys. So that's why this episode has a rating of 8.5. The last episode I gave it 9 because I really enjoyed it. You know, we got to see a new, like, mini village, a new territory, new villains were shown for a bit. Kiri was introduced. I liked her character, and I overall thought that was a great episode, and it had many nostalgic moments, you know, that connect to this whole Zabuza arc thing. But this episode, if it wasn't for these terrible villains, it would be 10, really. But no, I just want to be realistic. I enjoyed the shit out of this episode, but I just have to give it 8.5. Anyway, guys, Twitter and Discord links are in the description below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash the like button. If you're new to the channel and if you're into Boruto, consider subscribing. That was your boy Hokage, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.